Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be going over our weekly forecast from March 8th until March 15th. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social medias. Now, for today's comment of the day, the question is, do you prefer warm temperatures or cold temperatures where you live? And tell me why. Give me a reason, and I'll be picking a comment for tomorrow's video. Let's get right into things. First things first, we're going to be looking at last week's forecast, and if you guys keep up with this series, you know I always go back and I review these forecasts regularly. We have below average temperatures I was calling for Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, and then up there for Washington and Oregon as well, with overall warmer than normal conditions for the central and eastern United States, but especially up there for the upper Midwest. Now let's take a look at what actually happened in 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, I think this forecast did really well. The cold air down there for Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas really didn't pan out. It really just showed up for Texas there. Outside of that, I think this forecast did excellent. I think for some of the western United States, I could have called for above average temperatures. But really, overall, I think it did quite well. Now, we're about to get into our precipitation forecast, which is going to be very exciting to go over with you guys. We have some very interesting areas in the above average precipitation column, which I'm very excited to present to you guys. Now, for our first layer here, we have below average precipitation here from Northern California up through most of Washington, Oregon, and then in through northern Idaho and a bit of northwestern Montana as well. All of these areas are going to be in the slightly below average precipitation regions there. Now, we even have a second shade there for coastal California up there in the very far northwestern regions of California, coastal Oregon, and up there in coastal Washington as well. All of these areas are going to be moderately below average precipitation, so once again, a very dry week for these regions comparatively to normal. Now, we even have a second region of below average precipitation, and this one's going to be down there for Texas, Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, all of Florida, most of Georgia, all of South Carolina, and a bit of southern North Carolina as well. All of these regions are going to be slightly below normal precipitation, and really it's going to feel closer to normal than anything most likely. Some areas more than others, but really I think it's going to be overall a pretty dry week down there for the deep south and some of the southeast, with the exception of some thunderstorms at times possibly. Now, we even have a third region with below average precipitation here. This one's going to be for New England, upstate New York, even northern New Jersey, New York City, and Long Island there as well. And then up through Boston, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and again, pretty much just all of the New England regions there. Now, we're about to get into our above average precipitation, which again is going to be very interesting. We have a very widespread area of above average precipitation I'm expecting to take place, and I'm very excited to present that to you guys. As you can see here from Los Angeles, I know that's so weird, up through Las Vegas, all of Arizona, all of New Mexico, and then through Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, up through Tennessee and Kentucky as well, and then all through the Great Lakes regions, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. All of these areas are going to be in the slightly above average precipitation regions here, even Pittsburgh there in the very western regions of Pennsylvania, and then western West Virginia as well. So a lot of big areas included in this above average precipitation region. Again, very widespread here. You know, it might not be too far above average. It's going to be mostly on paper. You definitely will be above average, but you might not really feel it if you're in this first shade. I made these first shades to really just feel slightly above or below normal. It's the second shades is when you really start to feel it. That's when it becomes very noticeable. And we even have a second shade of above average precipitation here. And believe it or not, it's going to be for Southern California, a lot of Arizona, and then parts of New Mexico as well. All of these regions are going to be in our moderately above average precipitation region, which is, again, where you're going to really start to notice it. You're going to look back at the week and probably be like, wow, we had a ton of precipitation, especially down there in areas that do not receive a lot. It's going to be very noticeable, obviously, if you get any rain. So yeah, you'll definitely notice it in that moderately above average precipitation region. Now we're about to get into our super exciting temperature forecast where I have some very interesting things to go over with you guys. Obviously, some areas are going to be well above normal, some areas are going to be below normal. I'm very excited to present that to you guys. All right, so getting things started, we have our below average temperature region here. Oregon, Washington, a little bit of California there, just a little corner. We see the northern half of Idaho, and then the very western half of Montana there. All of these regions are going to be included in this slightly below average temperature region, and this is an area where we expect on paper you will definitely be below average temperatures, but really it remains to be known if it'll be noticeable or not. Now we even have a second layer here for the below average temperatures. And this is, again, where it's going to be even more noticeable than just the surrounding light blue region. So a lot of northern Washington, very, very far northern Idaho, and then northwestern Montana. These are all areas that are going to be below average temperatures, and it's going to be really noticeable that it's far below average temperatures. It's going to feel quite chilly, and it usually is very cold there, so it's just going to feel even colder than what is normally or what you're normally used to there. Now let's get started with that above average temperature region. As you can see, this just takes over a ton of regions, basically the eastern half of the United States, and then also we see the four corner states like New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and a bit of southern Wyoming there as well, Nebraska, South Dakota as well, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. And we even see that extend all the way through into portions of Nevada as well. So this is going to be very widespread, and that's how it's been a lot this winter, so I'm not very surprised that we're going to have a very widespread area with these very above normal temperatures here. Not surprising to say the least, but we see some very big cities in this: Chicago, Minneapolis, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Denver, St. Louis, Atlanta. I mean, basically everywhere in the central and eastern United States is included in these slightly above average temperatures. Now we even have a second layer here, which again, for how this year's gone, isn't very surprising. We see portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas there as well, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, and then up through into Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. And then we see the eastern seaboard as well: West Virginia, Maryland, D.C., Delaware. We see Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York State, all of New York State, including the city and Long Island. And then we also see most of New England, with maybe the exception of portions of Maine there, all included in these moderately above average temperatures. And this is where it's going to be very noticeable. This has been that heat up or heat wave I've been talking about for quite a while now. It's going to start this week, so from the 8th through the 15th, we're going to be dealing with these above normal temperatures that are going to become very, very noticeable, and that's just going to be the beginning of what I think will be a very warm pattern for the most part for most of March here. Now, I'm about to get into our special notes segment of the video. I have two special notes to go over with you guys, and they're two pretty interesting ones, actually, so let's get right into that. All right, and for special note number one, we have snowfall possible from the 11th through the 12th of March here from Minnesota down through into Iowa, Wisconsin, very far northern Illinois, very far Indiana, or very far northern Indiana. We see all of Michigan there, northern Ohio, northern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, and then all of New England and New York State there. And this could be further north, further south. Obviously, this is quite a few days away, but I just wanted to show all the areas that I think we could possibly see snow from the 11th through the 12th. It doesn't look like anything major whatsoever. Definitely a 1 to 3 inch type event, and it might be pretty scattered, not very consistent with the snowfalls throughout this area. So it's going to be an interesting event that we're just going to have to watch as we get closer. Now, for special note number two, we're going to have a big storm down there for the southwest and south central United States, but this is especially special for the southwest, as we see Southern California, Southern Nevada, all of Arizona, New Mexico. These are very interesting areas to see a big storm like this time of year. So that's probably the most special note of the video, to say the least. We're going to have a big storm roll through. That's going to be for the 10th through the 15th, by the way. The 10th is when it's going to be arriving for California. By the time we reach the 15th, it's going to be ending as some thunderstorms there for Oklahoma and Texas. Now, for yesterday's comment of the day, I asked you guys, make a bold prediction for the weather this year in 2020, and Gary Wood had an interesting one. He said his prediction is wet weather during the spring, followed by a severe drought throughout the summer. That would be very interesting to see if that actually pans out. I know it's obviously just somebody, there's probably no science behind that. He probably just wanted to make a bold prediction. But I will keep that in the back of my head as we move through the spring and the summer, and I'll see how that goes. And maybe, hey, maybe it'll be a bold prediction that actually pans out. So we'll have to just wait and see for that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media, and I will see you guys in the next video.